And welcome to another great episode of Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. Myself, Captain Travis, Captain Jason.
Hey,
look who we got out the mud.
Somebody had to come
Look
in
who
and
we got out the
straighten
mud. Old Captain Danny Garino come in to hang out with us and talk some fishing.
Just want to show you we don't hate.
We don't
like
hate
old guys.
We don't hate.
We don't even hate the old guys, Danny. We still love the old generation.
Well, that's out of respect.
I'm respectful.
Call it what you want. Hey, Rick, can you
need
grab
to
that
clarify.
TFO?
We got
guys
Rick
and old
behind the scenes
generation.
over there.
Yeah,
Look at
I'm
him.
hiding.
He's the Phantom Captain
I'm the
tonight.
Phantom.
We got Captain Rick. He's over there hitting the buttons. He's like our DJ, man.
I'm working the board tonight.
Board op.
Board op.
But anyhow, how's everybody going tonight? Hopefully we're going to talk some fishing. We're going to talk a little bit about, we're talking about an upcoming boat show. There's one September 8th, 9th, 10th, around there. I think I did them dates right. I'll be at that show for the Lady Let's Go Fishing thing. Actually, I've got, well, might be a little late. I've got some giveaways I could have gave away, but I can't remember what I did with them. But for the,
Well, you can give them to me.
What's happening, Ernie?
But we got the boat show coming up on September 8th through the 10th, or 8th through the 11th. Well, that's Friday through Sunday coming up. And then we got the Florida Sportsman Show, which is first weekend of October, correct?
October 6th and 7th. I believe Friday the 5th is when it starts. But the 6th and the 7th, that's going to be a Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be a good event. I actually just talked to Mike, one of the Florida Sportsman guys that are setting all that up and kind of putting it together. And going to be a good show. I don't know if you came out to it last year. It's going to be very similar. But you know, it's one of those seminar-based shows, kind of getting back to those roots of
it's a more tackle show versus boat show.
Right, but you know,
we got an update
historically, you know, you had a lot of seminars at shows.
Right.
You know what I mean? And people actually came to sit in a seminar as well as get the deals at the show and sort of.
Seminars over the years have gotten played out. I really don't know why.
Too many of them.
I agree.
Still, it's just you can never learn too much information.
Well,
Yeah, but there's too many of them. Everybody's saying the same thing.
No.
But I think if you
disagree.
listen,
if you listen in depth, everybody does stuff a little different. We all do the same. We do. I mean, I don't know. There are played out. I agree, but I really never understood that because I learned so much over the years. And you know how I learned is when I worked at Boaters World part time, and I decided to have to sit through them because we were working and Woody Gore, the old timers. Well, hell, Danny, I don't know. Yeah, you were. When did you start chartering? What was your? You had 5 years on me.
1999, 2000.
48.
So you were probably there, and Billy Nobles would come in, but you would sit, and I mean, I was forced to sit through.
I think I did
multiple
one at
seminars.
Yeah, I think I did one at Boaters World.
But when everyone like
Danny did his first
I would listen, and you would find out more stuff. Even listen to the same guy, because let's face it, as we get later in our careers as fishermen, we pick up on stuff. That,
Sure.
Oh, let's try that. Just
It's the little
gotta-
stuff. Well, that's where I was going, and I think that's where you were kind of
Yeah.
heading up. Is that you can go to sit through, even though let's
little
take our
differences.
panel of
There's
guys.
little
And if you
differences,
did a
but no
snook
huge
seminar,
differences.
Jason did a snook seminar, I did it, and then Danny did one. The basis of catching a whitebait and chumming and fishing the area. But there's going to be little different stuff like tail hooking. I know Danny's a big belly hooker. You know, I mean, those little things and what to look for, you know, popping cork Prieto is going to be all over that.
Hey, gotta have Cajun thunder.
So it's
Gotta have a little
and
thunder in your life.
that's where I think the people that really sit through a seminar and kind of pick apart, you know, what's different and what they can. Everybody's going to get a little bit different out of a seminar from a certain captain.
I changed
you know?
my game a little bit over the last few years. Like I got more experimental with the way I hook baits. I do a little bit of tail hooking.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of turned me on that. I've done it before, but I used to hate it. But then it does work in the trees. I do a lot more belly hook in the baits, and I used to always nose hook baits, and they do look natural. But that belly hook gives them that flash, especially in dirty water. I've been true to the game on the Cajun Thunders. I've been using them for as long as I can remember.
The belly hook's good until you get into a
Current.
current.
Yeah.
And then you got to do the nose, either a nose or a tail. I like the nose.
I tell you where I like the nose, and it takes a lot, and it's funny because I get customers on the boat, and I think if you were to poll a mass population, I would say that a nose hook is probably the most popular. The computer's restarting.
Rick, what did you do?
I would say that a nose hook's probably the most popular, and I know this because like we'll do corporate events or you'll fish clients that have been on a charter with another captain, and you always hear, well, when I fished with so and so, we did this and we did that. And for me, it seems like I'm probably one of the guys that's like, well, guess what?
You ain't doing it
You
today.
ain't doing that today.
I'm the oddball.
And-
We're doing it different.
Yeah,
Oh.
and it just seems like life I've drawn that card. But
you know why?
But- Drawn that
but,
card.
but what I was going to finish with is nose hooking, where I really like it.
He made
is,
it up.
is trout fishing.
Yeah.
When you get the guy that wants to retrieve a bait, or you want to get that bait across the grass and stay elevated or whatever, I'll nose hook those baits. That's one of the reasons or scenarios where I'll use a nose hook bait. But that's about it.
You know
for
why
me.
I changed to the belly hook, and it was, I can tell you.
I'm curious to hear this because I changed
Yeah.
to more belly hooks for a reason. too.
I
Don't listen to yours.
I did too.
can tell you the day and the customers I had on the boat that I changed. We couldn't keep. I was nose hooking. We couldn't keep a bait on the hook. Every time they cast, I'd go in there and I
Rip
finally
their nose off of
ripped their
them.
nose. I mean, they were just yanking them things and throwing them out there. I said, "Good gosh, I got to do something because I can't get any lines in the water." So I belly hooked them.
You know
And
why
we caught all kinds of fish that day.
You know, I started belly hooking more baits. I especially do it even if it's not working the greatest. I don't know why in the last year and a half I have customers that want to hook their baits, and to hook the nose, you really have to
Yeah,
know
you
where
gotta
to
know
hit
what
it,
you're doing.
especially with the type of I use them wide gap circles, and you got to feed them like that. If you push them through,
You'll ruin the.
you'll. So I'm like, man, just give me the hook and I'll hook the bait. Stay up front and cast. I got a system that works, but for whatever reason,
Right.
their system they think wants to work. I'm like, hey, they're like, how you hook them? I was like, right through the belly, because I know that if I hook them through the belly, it's a good chance of the bait staying on.
Yeah.
Where like the nose, you watch them hook it, and you're like, no,
Oh, that ain't
no,
that bait ain't staying.
no.
on.
Then
See,
the
I
bait's
go a
dead,
little-
their
see, I
nose
go
is
a little
like
deeper.
this.
Sometimes
I go a little
really
deeper than
strong
that.
Current belly hooking can be tough.
Well, that and see
Yeah,
like
and a strong current, I don't.
yeah,
I-
it's hard to do it.
because I always look at it and I try to figure out, okay, why would I do it that way? And I always try to apply it to something. Okay, well, I'm going to tail hook because I'm fishing the bushes, or I'm going to tail hook a pinfish because I want to free line him and let him run. And where the belly hooking comes into me, and it's about to take place, is wintertime, clear, shallow water when the terns and the seagulls get gnarly.
when they get crazy.
And those greenbacks, those pilchards we use, they've got an air bladder that runs right in that area. And I always tell people right along those pectoral fins,
yeah, right on that.
if you put a hook right behind that pectoral fin, you're going to pop that air bladder, which is a lot like we do when we grab them and pinch them, and you'll hear that little, you're popping that air bladder. And so for me, it's to keep those baits down. You take a belly hook bait and you flip it out there, he normally flutters down to the bottom. They will come up top, but it seems to me that like that's what I kind of correlate it to is getting those baits down. Let me go turn this off.
We can't see comments though with that off.
I got them on my phone.
Okay,
Yeah,
can I
that's
stand
good.
behind you?
Well, come on.
Um,
You're not even on the show. You're just a voice, man.
he's our audience.
You're just a voice back there.
Clap,
Rick.
Rick.
In case
Clap.
y'all didn't know, Rick is actually here, man. He's just
Diesel's a ghost.
he's hiding.
That's right.
He's hiding. But
I like belly hooking a little bit more for it does help the birds, and I feel in the summer water the water's real dirty. They got that flash. That's why I think corks work in the dirty water. You're popping them.
noise.
You're getting that attention. That
it's a-
fish.
yeah,
I don't
it-
think they can see like they definitely can't see like you can in the March when the water's
But
crystal clear.
that noise draws them in.
Yeah, and I won't catch fish like snook and stuff. I'll get them on corks in the early spring. But I don't use them that much because I feel like the water's that clear they can see it.
Yeah, they see the shadow of that cork,
Yeah,
and
and
it's
And I
little
tried,
bit of movement.
I tried not to use too many corks because those things, when they start swimming around in circles, I'm all tangled.
get loop-de-loops, and that's
Yeah.
Well,
and
and
that's
I'll
a
tell
tail hook behind a cork, and that's where I'll go with that because we were talking about that last year.
Yeah.
You tail hook those baits on a cork, they tend to swim away from your cork.
Mhm.
You know, when you nose hook them, they're liable to come up and gulp air like a tarpon around your
Well-
cork, and you'll see the guy out there doing Michael Phelps backstrokes around that cork, and you know that you got a dreadlock when that thing comes in. So
And that does
I
help.
like tail hooking them when a cork fish.
That does help, but you
Don't
know
want the dreadlock.
It's dreadlocks.
Don't want that.
what I tell people is just the tail hook, man. It just comes off so easy, and with a you mix that with the cork.
You got to sling it right.
with a cork too. That just makes it that much worse. But I tell them, when you're using a cork, that clacking sound attracts the fish.
Mm-hmm.
It's like walking a dog with a choker. You give him a good little pop, and you can tell when that cork starts going like this, he's going to go around the line. Pop that cork one
Right.
time, and you'll disorient that bait for like a minute or so.
Mhm.
It doesn't stop it, but it will really reduce your tangles. I just can't get people
Can't get them
to
to
pop
do
the cork.
it. Pop the cork.
Yeah.
pop the
Or
cork.
they do it and they won't let it stop. They're just
Or
bang,
pow,
bang,
pow, like,
bang.
There's a happy medium. You don't want to kill the
when
bait.
I get,
Right.
I was so proud one day this guy got him finally popped the cork. He ripped it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like then it comes at you.
That's
to
when
move
that's
on.
when like a 10-inch snook
Yeah.
hits it, and here he comes right behind
Yeah.
the cork.
Yeah, it's you just got to find a happy medium. But I guess I'm popping cork pretty
Well, we've been
known
talking about it
cork.
for a while, and this has been a topic. And when I think just in general, it kind of comes with the nature of the show is that we talk about hooking baits and different times of the year and size and all that kind of stuff. And I know we keep saying it, but I'm going to make it a point to, in the next week or two, I'm going to get some baits, put them on ice, bring them in, and I think it would make a great show to go over, a
Where to
white
hook
bait,
'em.
how to rig them, a pinfish, and maybe a cut bait, and sort of show that because I always tell people, and I had a one of our listeners or one of our viewers, Andy Lopez, fished with me last week. Had a few days open, and we ended up getting out on the skiff. And he'd been fishing Tampa Bay for 30 years. Knew a lot of area up north. Had caught a lot of great fish over the years, snook, redfish, trout. And he just wanted to try something a little different and gave me the opportunity to get him out on the water. And we went down on the South Shore and fished. And I told him we were going to start the morning off throwing some artificials. I'd been on some fish. If we could get out there early, do the artificial thing, and then we'll fall back, get some bait, and go beat the bushes for some redfish. All he wanted to catch was redfish when we talked about it. It was just, let's go catch redfish. I said, okay. Well, we got a little diverted, and it started raining that morning. Like it shouldn't have. It was supposed to be an afternoon. Well, it rained. So I said, well, let's back up. Let's get bait, see if this little squall passes over, and then we'll, go throw some artificials or do some live bait. So we pull up on the flat, and I start chumming, and a few little fry baits start showing up, and then I start seeing pinfish, flashing. I said, all right, we're good. I threw the net like 3 times, probably had, I don't know, man, 50 pinfish, maybe 50, 60 pinfish, and about a dozen and a half white baits. Pretty decent ones, but that's all I had. Pulled up, and we left. He goes, we're not going to get white bait? I said, no, we don't need white bait. We're good. Let's just roll. Because there was a certain tide I was trying to get to. Purposely, and he had never really felt confident fishing with pinfish, so I sort of made him fish with pinfish all day. And I think,
Way to
correct
go,
me if I'm
Travis.
wrong, Andy.
You made
we-
your customer uncomfortable the entire day.
Well, by the end of the trip, he actually,
I'm joking.
well, it was kind of neat though because I was able to sort of build his confidence on something that he'd been fishing a long time and never really felt confident about using something else. And he kept asking me, "You gonna put a white bait on this time? You gonna put a white bait on?" And after about the 4th redfish, he quit asking about white bait, and we fished pinfish. We fished them live and we fished them cut. And that's a true story. Andy, if you're out there, Good times, brother. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to get you out there, and it was a real good time fishing with you, man. We don't get a lot of days where you get to fish one guy, and so it was really cool to kind of, bond with him and fish and share some stories and show him a few new things. So sometimes thinking outside the box can help.
Yeah.
And it's a confidence thing. Until you have a successful day with something, you don't really feel confident with it until it kind
had the same
of
story,
proves
but
itself.
The reason I told the guy we had to use pinfish because I couldn't
That's all
catch
you
any
could
white.
catch, yeah.
That's all I could
Hey,
catch.
And that was sort of went hand in hand. I mean, it was a little tough. We didn't have a lot of bait around. I was like, look, dude, I'm probably going to use these pinfish anyway, knowing me. So
Speaking
we didn't
of
even
bait,
bother with it.
Speaking of bait, I was in Steenhatchee this last week. I saw white bait up there.
Really?
Yeah, that far north.
Well, with recent water quality issues, do you
Yeah.
think
I don't know.
that?
I have no idea.
Cause I know historically that's an area
Pretty
that's
good
really
school, yeah,
don't.
pretty good school of
doesn't-
white bait. I was up there scalloping, but by the way, scalloping was horrible up there this
Really?
year.
It was great when we went in Homosassa.
Yeah, well, they had a ton of fresh water.
It's amazing how
intrusion out of there.
conditions change. All different types of fishing,
Yeah.
scalloping.
Yeah.
It's all about conditions. Even
Mhm.
us, it's like fresh water does certain stuff just like it
Yeah.
does in other
I
places.
mean, I don't know a whole lot about scallops other than the
Filters?
yeah. You jump down and there they are. You pick them up, put them in a bag, and make sure you don't have too many.
How do they taste good with a rum and coke?
Oh yeah, they're delicious.
Do you eat them raw? Or you just suck them right down, right out of the shell?
Coke, yes.
Yeah. You don't even care. Eat the shell and everything, huh, Danny?
It's got to be chilled though. It's got to be chilled.
Yeah. But we went up and took the whole family, and it was I've been going there for 10 years, and typically every day we limit out on scallops. This year
Yeah.
I've burned 110 gallons of fuel, and I got 9 scallops in a week,
And a prop and
and
a.
a prop,
and a lower unit.
and who knows what else?
Those are some expensive scallops.
We should have
man.
brought your prop in
Yeah, that would be
for
fun.
talk of the town. If we could have did prop talk. The first 2 blades.
Oh
performance
gosh,
prop.
here we go. Rick, prop talk.
Danny,
I'm out.
4
Danny-
shows.
Hey, Danny has
Guys, you got a lot of time. We'll do
I'm out.
prop
game
talk.
changer. Danny's got a game changer. The first 2 blade performance prop.
Yes.
If they were on each side, we might be able to work that.
Well, you
Were they
know
on the
what?
si-
I
high
found
speed?
out I lost 5
Great
pounds
hole
because
shot.
the daggum boat shook so much. I couldn't
So fast it'll shake the motor off.
Yeah, it
That's
was
good.
Yeah,
But-
that's a long story. But 10 foot of water, didn't hit anything, and throw a blade.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
Well, it happens.
Yes.
A few more rum and cokes, Danny.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Jason.
It
I
was,
don't know what I hit.
it was a long ride.
Till you go back and look at the GPS trail and you were jumping islands.
Hey, I cleared it.
It was a long ride.
It'd have been worse if I stopped on the island.
You got lucky.
Oh man, good stuff. Well, guys, like I said, if you're just joining us, we appreciate you, following us and supporting us over. Guys, we've been doing this for about 2 years now.
We've been doing
on video.
Facebook for 2 years.
About 2 years, and then
Almost.
you guys sort of
Me and Danny
are
kinda
the
like
creators of this whole thing.
Yeah, we just kept it going since 2006, right?
Yeah.
12 years.
Straight. We never not done it. Somehow or another, we've kept on.
And I
keeping
think we're the first, one of the, if not the first, one of the first, definitely live social media broadcasted fishing reports.
And
so,
I hate to give you credit because you run with it. But
well,
that
it's
was
a team
your
effort.
idea.
There ain't no I in team, and I don't take any
Travis
credit.
goes, I think I can do this, and I go, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but I'm all about it. And
We made it work, man. It was
his
a team
little
effort.
peanut brain there got things rolling up there. The hamster was spinning on the wheel, and before we know it, we're on social media.
We did it. But
And,
we ain't the biggest, we ain't
then
the baddest, but I promise you one thing. We're the realest.
Take
Yeah.
it worldwide.
we
baby.
told A and Ray to
We're the
pound
realest,
sand.
man.
We're going social media.
Ain't
Taking
nothing
it
fake about
worldwide.
it. But
I've been trying to do that this whole time. You guys are holding me back.
well, let's guys. I know I put something on social media the other day, and I'm kind of excited about it. We got some redfish tournaments coming up, and we're getting into wintertime, and so traditionally we start talking artificial as we get into this fall pattern and stuff like that. And so I ended up getting with my friends at Shimano, and they sent me some products here. They're Colt Sniper baits, and some people were asking me about these. I posted a picture on social media about it, and there's actually 2 different flavors. You got a suspending
I like that
and
one.
a floating bait on this. And
Can we see that one?
if anybody's ever used a Sabile stick shad, that's the bone color. That's the one I think's
I
going
like
to
that
kill it. So they've asked me to kind of check these out and play with them. which I'm really excited to do. I like the size of them. I like how they sit in the water. I like the teardrop style to them. And like I said, anybody that's used a Sabile, and I'm not saying it's a Sabile, I'm not comparing it to it, but I guess I am, but it looks a
you
lot
are
like a
definitely
Sabile.
comparing
I haven't used one yet, so I can't say that the action or the way that they, look in the water is the same. But
Looks
at
cool.
first glance, it looks almost identical to a Sabile stick shad.
I
So
don't know. It's gonna be hard to beat a mirror lure.
real excited
You know what? I'm
to
gonna
check
say,
these
I'm
out.
going to give everybody a there.
Are you gonna tell your
That's your
artificial?
color.
That's a snook bait.
I agree.
What do you think
That's
about this
just
one?
That red with
No,
that's trout.
it can be
I'm
any
going
one.
trout
It
on that
can
one.
be any one of these
Dude,
lures down here
this
for
would be the
snook,
last bait.
as long as the color's red and white.
How many of you
So
guys
are
would
you
use
a
this?
mirror
I wanna
lure
see a
52
purple
11 guy?
with
No,
chartreuse.
That was the white body red head.
Let's see a vote. Who would pick
Body-rated.
this
No,
color?
it
I
was-
would.
was
It don't
the,
look like nothing I've ever
Top
seen in the
dog,
water.
I forget the numbers.
Almost
was
like this
real.
one.
No, the top dog pup and the oh gosh,
Travis, you do have a
Hayden's,
point.
God, I can't remember Hayden's lure name.
Heading.
Hayden. It was Hayden, but it,
You got the torpedo. You got the tiny torpedo.
that was the one you walk the dog with. God, what
Zara
was it?
Spook.
Czar Spook.
Zara Spook.
Yeah. They got the baby. They got several different sizes. The baby one was the one with the props. I like
Yeah.
that one.
Anyway, that's what we use. But that color will work. If I were going snook fishing, that would be the one I'd take.
Right, and you're right, Travis. We're ahead of the curve on the wintertime thing, but
It's coming.
artificial is coming, and the reason why I think these are kind of cool when you go to a top water, one thing with redfish, and I want to talk a little bit about redfish. A lot of people have trouble catching redfish on top water, partial to the way the fish is designed, where their mouth is on the bottom
Right.
and they actually have to roll on a bait. They got to come up,
They'll miss
and
it.
in order to get it, they'll blow it up. And for snook, I'm right there with you. I'm going to say the Zara Spooks, the top dogs, any of those, real shiny, flashy, walk the dog type topwater baits are really good for snook. And a redfish will come up and slam one. But what I noticed over the years, tournament fishing and really trying to target redfish is sometimes they'll have trouble when they get so aggressive they actually blow the bait out of the
yeah.
water. And so with
Especially
that
at school,
with the
I think,
teardrop
school.
design of some of these subsurface baits, even when you twitch, and when you stop, the tail end of the bait is actually in the water pretty good ways. Both sets of hooks are in the water, especially on the suspending bait. And I feel like they got a little bit better, angle at getting that down the hatch, plus the size of them. So I think it's going to be a really good bait, and I'm excited to kind of
I think we're going to
check
send
that
you
out.
down in the water for 24 hours. I want you to convince all these fish that these theories are right, because if they were, we would be one up on them.
Why did they make it like that? I mean, obviously it's. I'm just
just
looking at it from an
If we can
analytical
convince the fish
perspective.
that you're right, we've
saying-
got their number.
I can tell you that I have missed a ton of redfish on topwater plugs, partial to them exploding it and
I
it
have to.
blowing out of the water. Why do we like a Miradine? Because it's sort of subsurface
Actually,
under the water. Why do you like those types of baits? And I feel like
throw a soft
it's a little more
plastic
set up for
more
redfish.
For redfish, by far. I'll use hard baits when I'm on a school of fish. So I need to throw something a mile, and I need it to work on the surface.
Yeah, Rich asked a question. I guess it's Travis, because you're the one that said it. He says, "Why artificials in winter? Is there a bait issue then?" And
there can be.
there can be a bait
There can
issue,
be.
but artificials are typically, for me, artificials will be typically better because
We can't get baited in the winter. Dead of the winter.
that's one of the reasons.
It
but-
depends on
fish
the
are
year
hungry.
But
too.
you
I
can
mean,
you can control the speed of your artificial and
Keep it in the strike
wintertime,
zone.
In the wintertime, you want to slow down your bait and retrieve it slower and do those because the water's cooler.
I always felt like too in the wintertime, and it's pretty proven in March. The fish are they're hungry because
More
there's not it's supply and demand. There's not a lot of bait. Like right now, there's
Yeah.
a ton of fry bait,
Yeah.
and they'll still eat artificial, but there's a lot of supply on bait. You get to the wintertime on the flats and backcountry,
Yeah.
there's a lot of shrimp and crustaceans, but the white bait's kind of moved to deeper water or
Yeah.
gone. So it's kind of like I think it's supply and demand. Like if there ain't a lot of white bait, you got something that looks like a white bait, they're probably more apt to eat that.
And Rich, to answer your question, the artificials will work year round, but you have to work the bait. Don't let the bait work you.
Yeah. I'll kind of add to it, and I don't disagree with anything that you guys said. I'm in the same boat. The one thing I will say is that sight fishing
Mhm.
improves as soon as the water clarity improves, and so it's sort of tough to sight fish with live bait. It's possible, and it can be done, and guys do it all the time. But if you're going to go sight fishing, you know, artificial is going to be your go-to. I mean, you're going to be more successful with artificial by being able to reel that bait in, keep the bait, put it where you want it, let it sit there, or work it towards, you know, the fish or whatever the case may be. The other thing is you're going to cover a lot more ground with an artificial bait. You know, if you're going to work an area, it's a different mentality. So if white bait's not plentiful, or if bait's not plentiful, you're not going to pull up to a mangrove point and just start throwing artificials at it over and over and over to go snook fishing. You're going to work down that shoreline and throw, you know, consecutive times and sort of. So you end up covering a lot more water when you do use artificial. And I think in the wintertime, that can be a critical thing in catching fish and not catching fish, because the fish will spread out or they'll be bunched up in one area, and you may have to work that entire shoreline, you know, to sort of find them. And so, for me, those are the two of the main reasons. Is that, you know, bait, yes. Even if I can get bait, sometimes it's just easier. It's cold. You know, the fish aren't, you know, as active maybe as they were, and so you can kind of work them. And sometimes you got to hit that fish on the head. Even if you're trout fishing, you may, you know, work 6-7 potholes, just kind of work them over and over, and you may throw 10 times not get a bite in the same pothole, and then throw it back in there and get a bite. You know, just because you hit that fish on the head, it didn't want to move, you know, or something like that. And so. I think there's several reasons why artificial is chosen in the wintertime. So
yes, yeah.
It's not one reason. It's just,
you know,
and it's fun.
For us
Low tides.
the charter business is just different. We're not. It's tough to get customers depending on their angler skill. Like you said, you have one person. He knew how to fish. That's great for artificials. But you get 4 people, 3 kids that never fished before.
And it was cool. Like, we did both. Like, we caught some fish in the bushes, and then we did artificial.
How's the live well holding up, by the way?
Good. It ran well on the skiff.
Everything work good?
Yeah, no, it ran really well.
No overflow
I mean, obviously we didn't load it with white bait, but kept pinfish all day long. And like I said, I had a couple dozen white baits, but overflow worked great. Had good flow. You know, everything worked well. So, what I was really concerned with is like getting on those shallow grass flats with the way the pickups were.
Yeah.
Whether or not I was going to pick up grass.
The pickups working good?
And pickups were working great, man. Yeah,
did you end
everything
up
worked pretty good
on the back of the hull, or were we talking on the inside of the tunnel?
I mounted on the back. I come right through the back transom, down on the bottom, and kind of kicked it away from the tunnel. And then I put the high-speed pickups, the plastic ones, like would go on a Skeeter or Triton boats use them.
I hate them, but for your application, I think they're good.
Yeah, in that type of scenario, man, you and I talked, there wasn't a whole lot of options.
You know, if they built that boat, how cool would it be if they opened the tunnel up like 4 inches on each side and then did the pickups like we had talked about on the side of the tunnel,
where they didn't affect the motor quite as much. Yeah,
that would be cool. But then it might mess up your flotation
a little bit. The amount of water you're pushing into that tunnel may get reduced.
That was a great idea, but it's probably good you didn't do that with the cavitation you had.
I'm glad that I didn't. But yeah, no, everything went well on that. I was real happy with the way it went.
It would look cool on the trailer if you look behind the boat. That was about it.
I know, yeah. So, but no, all good there, and but I just want to touch base on that. And as we go into winter, man, it just seems like inherently we always end up starting to talk about some artificials and
late. And we're doing early this year. We're being proactive.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, as we get into it, it'll get more and more. And I know we normally do a couple shows just on artificial where we'll talk about redfish and stuff. And being that we got a redfish tournament coming into town, artificial, I thought maybe it'd be a kind of cool idea. And just to kind of showcase that product. So they're going to have them here at TFO. They're bringing these in the store. I just talked to James. They got an order coming in. They also got another bait that's similar. It's just a topwater. I think it's a top stalker. I can't remember the name of it, but anyhow, it's the same line of bait. And so come in and check those out. I'll give you a report on which colors I think work well in our area. And maybe I'll give you guys a few, and you guys can check them out as well. So.
Daryl, what's up, buddy? Nice to see you tuning in again. Aaron, please quit asking about the tuna. I'm not taking you offshore if you keep
tuna fish. You can tuna piano, but you cannot tuna fish.
Trying to be funny.
Yeah, I caught a tuna in the bay, with one of these. So.
See? There you go, Aaron.
Caught a tuna or smelled like tuna?
Actually, I opened a tuna fish can, and it was delicious.
Well, let's do this, guys. Let's raffle off some goodies here.
We're already raffling?
Not raffle, but let's do a trivia, man. I'm going to let you – actually, Danny,
you do us.
I got to read?
Yeah, you got to put your glasses. Oh man, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah,
it's not a voice to or a text to voice. You got to read that.
Danny, we're silent right now, buddy.
I'm trying.
Radio silence is killer.
Costa's new collection, Untangled, is made out of what?
All right, repeat that, Travis.
All right, so
I have no clue what he's talking
right,
about.
so Costa Del Mar, whatever you're gonna call it.
I've never
Costa
taken
They've got a
myself.
new collection, and it's called the Untangled Collection.
What's it made out of?
What is that line specifically made of? Like, what material do they use to make that product line? It's called
The
the
frames.
Untangled.
The
The
frames.
frames. What do they use? And what you're going to get is you're going to get the first one to answer that correct. Is
Dude.
going to get a Viva cup
I'm gonna show you guys before we
and
go
a
any
hat.
further.
You just got to come in and pick out which color you want.
These cups are awesome. All you Yeti crazy people spending $40 for a metal cup. Guess what? It's metal. Probably don't hold ice no better than this one. What I like about this cup, I got one. I use it every day on the
and he
boat.
uses a purple one too.
Yeah, purple.
Just in case
Hey,
y'all are
I'm
wondering.
comfortable in manhood. I always say this. Look, you guys are on the boat. Got your cup holder there. It's kind of rough in the morning. You know it's Tampa Bay.
Not on my boat. I run a Canyon Bay, bro.
Yeah, I ran one of them for 10 years. Danny still's got
I
one.
still got one.
He's always got to round me up, don't he? Hey, so anyways, this cup has got this lid here. So I got a bunch of these tumblers, different brands. This one here, so you don't get splashed on your console. So that's what I like about it. It's a good cup. It's got this little rubber grip too. It's pretty cool.
You know
Anyways,
what I'm, you know
they're
what I'm
good little
puzzled with
tumblers.
is who the heck looked up this question?
This
Oh,
one actually came from
Joy.
Joy.
Joy at
Okay.
TFO.
I don't know how publicly
brains
known
of
this
this
is either. I
operation.
mean, I'm sure it is. I'm sure somebody's. Rick, is your Google broke?
My Google.
Ground
Your
chum.
Google's good.
Where's James at? I thought he was going to do the show with us.
He's here, and he's here, man. He's
here in
doing.
spirit?
Yeah, he's support. He's
What do you- what do you-
downstairs.
I can be a runner. What do you need?
Huh?
What do you need?
We're going to
we're-
bring James
we're just kind of waiting out there. So we
I
got
want you to
trivia
need
out there,
something.
man,
James
and
is, he's,
we got
he's
one-
watching- yeah,
we got
James is on
one
the, he's watching
recycled
us on the internet.
material.
recycle material. I mean, you got to go a little
That's pretty
further.
vague.
Got to go a little further than that.
I mean, that
So
knocks it down to like
if anybody didn't hear it, Costa has a new collection of sunglasses, and we're trying to find out if y'all know what that
Ground
collection
chum.
is made out of, and it's called the Untangled Collection.
I think
and it's
somebody's
made from
got
something.
It. I got it right there. He's got it.
who?
Boom.
What?
Recycled fishnet. Rich,
Rich.
you the man.
So how we do
Good
this?
job, Rich. You came up
job.
on my phone first, so I'm happy.
So Rich,
Rum
come on.
and Coke.
Rum
You
and
get to
Coke.
have a rum
I
and
get to
Coke
have
with
a
the
rum and
famous
Coke.
Danny Garino in your new Viva.
But you better hurry because I'm going to have that rum and Coke soon.
And
Yeah.
you get to come pick a color, man. Come in. You're going to get you a free 20-ounce tumbler. You can pick, I think they got orange, blue, green, yellow, purple, and
It's a rainbow of
I
tumblers.
think there's a black one. I think a pink one. So come in here, pick your poison, dude. Get you a free cup and a hat, and
I think
we appreciate you watching, man.
I think I had the answer laying out here, and I think Rich.
You
picked
think
it
it
up
was- you
right.
think he
Yeah, I
zoomed
think
in on
read-
that?
I think he zoomed in. Did you do that, Rich?
Yeah, and guys, I did want to mention we were talking about boat shows earlier. One's coming up, but like I said, they got the one September 8th. Family Boating is going to have boats there. I'll be there on Sunday. I want to let you guys know. I know Family Boating, in particular, they actually have some stock boats. Having boats in stock has been a problem for all manufacturers. Pathfinder built a new facility. They're pumping, I want to say 40 boats a week, almost doubled their what they put out a week, and so I know they got their stock of boats from Pathfinder. They got some from Sportsman, but a lot of the dealers are starting to get some boats in stock. There's a lot of good deals at the boat shows. There's 2 or 3 in October. There's going to be 1 in September. So if you're looking to get a boat, but some people go to the boat show like, man, I want to pull the trigger on a boat, but then they don't want to order it. They don't want to wait 6 months. They say, well, if you go to the boat show this fall, I think you're going to see. You'll see some stock boats in for stuff you want, not just what's left over nobody wants. So I figured I'd pass that on. Like I said, I'll be at Family Boating's booth on September 10th, I think, is that Sunday. And then that afternoon, Ladies Let's Go Fishing is doing a women's fishing clinic seminar that you can sign up for. I guess next week. We got one more week. I tried to see if I can get some tickets. So they emailed me and I forgot to follow up with them, but I will have some ticket packages valued like $60 or something we can give away. But the Ladies Let's Go Fishing is a group down in I think they're based out of the Keys, but they've been doing it for years. It's basically women get together, they learn about fishing. There's no yelling, no tension kind of deal. So and they're also got
I wonder if my wife could join.
Yeah.
And Captain Lori does one as well. The real lady.
Well,
it sounds like
they
a
already
similar.
had they do. And
setup
actually,
there.
I recommended Lori because they were looking. I thought they were looking, and I said, "We'll call Lori." You know, they were looking for some stuff. But I'm kind of helping out on the workshop that afternoon, and I'll be at Family Boating through most of the day. So
I was really interested in the part that they don't yell and scream.
yeah, I know.
That's why I want to send my wife.
I know.
That's not a guarantee, man. That's not a guarantee.
I'm glad she's in Atlanta.
Yeah, you're gonna be in trouble. Danny, you can stay at my house if need be.
The other one too. While I'm thinking about it, guys, you know, we're a lot of competitive anglers out there, and there's a tournament coming up.
IFA.
They got the IFA, which is coming.
I'm
It'll be in
excited.
Ruskin, September 15th.
You're fishing that,
And they're
right?
moving
Yeah.
that- they moved that from down south.
Punta Gorda.
Yeah.
It moved from
I know
Punta
you-
Gorda.
Are we
and
doing a side bet? I know
and-
you've been scouting.
anything you want to bet,
I
Bubba.
know.
Come
I know
on
you've
with
been
it.
scouting.
Hey, if you feel good about it, I do too.
Uh,
But South Shore Anglers, September 21st, they're having the captain's meeting, and I believe it's September 22nd, I believe is the longest redfish tournament, in memory of Greg Leonard's father.
yep. Actually sent me that, and I'm glad
And
you remembered
so,
that.
you know, that's something that we definitely want to talk about. It's goes for a good cause. It's a great group of guys or people, fishermen, fisherwomen, that get involved with South Shore Anglers, and we want to make sure we support those folks and, you know, obviously support Greg Leonard and that little memorial tournament that he's got going on for that stuff. And it's the longest redfish tournament, and September 22nd. So if you're interested in that, you can go to South Shore Anglers Facebook page. You can go to southshoreanglers.com, or you can track down the infamous Tiger Hoffman, and he will get you set up and put you in touch with the right people to get you guys rolling on that. So don't forget about that one, September 22nd. South Shore Anglers, the longest redfish tournament. So
Yeah, and guys,
Rick's
something
awful quiet over there.
he
is he still here?
I'm here, just waiting.
He's sleeping.
He's
waiting
looking
for something
his
to comment on.
Pandora.
Well, I don't know.
we
if
haven't
he's,
said anything interesting yet, have we?
No, you guys are doing great.
Guys, there's also something coming up that's open to the public that we probably need to start mentioning more of. September 26th, 27th. That is in Tallahassee. They're going to have
It's a
meeting coming up.
FWC commission meeting.
I'm
They-
sure
they
there's
do
gonna
it- They
be
do it
s-
once a quarter, about
Mhm.
once a quarter, and they do it all over the state.
Andy.
And it's
up, brother?
probably a good idea with all the stuff going on.
With the Clean Water
Act
Oh,
that,
man.
that maybe more of the general public, because it's open to the general public, from my understanding, start showing up. Me and Danny are going to try, Travis, I think we're all going to try to go down there and check stuff out. But it's September 26th, 27th.
I don't know if I'll be on that. I'm booked got a couple trips that we actually got 3
Yeah, we're gonna stay at Rick's house.
consecutive. So I don't know. I know I'm not going to be there, but
Come on.
I hold all faith that you guys are going to go up there, and whoever goes up there is going to put the right word
We're
in the
going
right
to try to
person's
make
ear.
it.
So.
And, but anybody out there that maybe pass the word to their buddy. I know it's a long drive, but they're going to be tackling some issues. I think that and with all the stuff going on this year, I think it's the common denominator, Danny, that we've seen over my years of guiding, and you've been guiding longer than me and Travis, and the common thing is the average fisherman just wants to go fishing, and they work, and that's their release away from
Mhm.
everyday life, I guess. But the fact of the matter is that we kind of need the recreational guys to make a better showing across the board at some of these events that affect what they like to do. So I guess the old deal, unfortunately, there's politics and stuff and everything you do in life, just about. But that's always been the common denominator, is the general public. They don't like what's going on, but they don't have time or don't make time to show. That's what I've seen. Not to say everybody does that, but I'd like to see some more recreational anglers get kind of more involved in what's going on.
We have a lot of issues coming up. We have a lot of issues going on now. A lot of stuff with Lake Okeechobee and the clean water, and the debate whether or not the green slime coming out of Lake Okeechobee is feeding the red tide that we're having. I personally believe that the green slime, the nutrients in the water coming out of Lake Okeechobee, not just Lake Okeechobee, but that's being pumped out, are feeding our red tide. This red tide bloom, to me, I think has been around for almost a year.
Yeah.
And I talk to people all the time, and they ask me, well, what can we do? I'm just one guy. I say, you know what? Today's Wednesday. Yesterday we voted. We had a primary election.
Mm-hmm.
We voted for a governor. We voted for different people. You can go vote and pick the candidates that are going to make a difference in our clean water and make a difference in our environment. You may not always agree with what they're going to do, but if they have their environmental hat on, those are the candidates that I'm looking for, and those are the ones that I'm voting for.
Yeah, and actually back
And
it
that's
up
what
because
you
they
can
all
do.
talk
Because
the
a
talk.
lot of it, I've been around here a long time, and a lot of what I'm seeing, this is all driven by money and politics.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, and now it's always been an issue, but I think the issue's gotten so big because of the biggest problem. It's kind of taken a forefront. But, you know, I think what technology has done is that it's made me realize that if you just go on Facebook or social media, you can see that people all have their opinion, and they state it real easy on social media. But so they all kind of care, or they think they have the answer, but you have to go out to the right avenues to get that point across sometimes. And I think that's what we're missing.
Well,
and, I mean, you're always better in numbers.
Everybody's looking to point the finger at who's to blame. And you know what? Point that finger at yourself. Because everyone in Florida is to blame. Everyone in the United States is to blame. We have a problem, and it's the growth inside the state of Florida. Now, growth is good because it brings economic benefits to us all. But we've saturated the market, so to speak, and now we have to go clean it up. And there is, I fully believe this, there's technology there that can clean the water coming out of our.
Well, it's being done in Miami.
Yeah,
I think you were
it's being
saying.
done,
I think I
and-
read
and-
that somewhere.
Yeah, it's been, the Miami River's pretty clean, and it's coming out of the Everglades. But there was a lawsuit many years ago that said, y'all got to clean it before you can pump it into the Miami River, and they did. Now they could do the same thing at a bigger scale, and then restore that flow going back south into the Everglades. Because right now, if you just dumped it into the Everglades, you're going to kill the Everglades. What's left of the Everglades?
The Everglades, I think, has a better filtration system.
It is. I mean, the Everglades is a natural filtration, but you will kill it because there's so much nutrients in there. So we have to store that water. We need a reservoir to store it, clean it, and then pump it out. And not necessarily pump it just into the Everglades. Maybe we pump it all three directions. Who knows? I don't know that. I'm not a scientist. But I believe there's technology there that'll do that. We have to pay for it. Everybody that pays taxes in this country, not just the state.
We're going to pay for it. We just have to make sure the representatives that are out there are taking that money and using it.
We have to get the politicians in there that are going to make that happen for us. And that's the way I'm voting. I won't tell you who I'm voting for. You have to all make your own decisions.
There's a lot to that. I mean, like, I think the biggest part is because this has been a roundtable conversation, you know, since we started seeing blue-green algae this year. This isn't new. This didn't just happen this year.
It's big.
Okay, you can look at the mouth of the Caloosahatchee where it dumps out by St. James City, and you can see aerial footage from where it comes out. And 10 years ago there was grass, and there started to be a little more grass. Now it's just a sand blowout down there where this stuff came out. So there's no denying that this is impacting that area. Okay, that is what it is. But you look at this blue-green algae, the cyanobacteria, that is a Lake Okeechobee event, right? We don't have no blue-green algae in Ruskin. Okay, there might be small patches of it, but what people don't realize is this isn't like it's not a phenomenon that happens in Lake Okeechobee. These guys get this stuff in lakes in Minnesota and Michigan and Ohio. This isn't like a rare bloom from whatever we have in Florida. And one of the things that I've noticed over trying to educate myself, and I'm not saying there's not a correlation between the cyanobacteria, the blue-green algae, and the amount of nutrients and what its makeup is, whether or not it's feeding the red tide or not. Because nitrogen and phosphate levels plus the salinity is really what I understand to be the three things that red tide really thrives on. It needs those nutrients, but then it also needs a salinity, which is why the estuaries are somewhat protected, scientifically. Now, it's not to say it won't happen, but my point to that is you're talking about cleaning this water and, all the stuff that's coming down, and I think we need to go a step further and look at these herbicides, look at these things that are causing the issue.
Absolutely.
It needs to go all the way back to the phosphate side. It needs to go back to what people are putting on their lawns so that we don't have to spend a bunch of money to clean up a mess that we're causing. We need to go fix it so that at some level we're treating the actual problem and treating the issue and not the problem.
Right.
The problem is what's happening after that stuff gets into our water,
Oh, I totally
And
agree.
so I think it has to go further than that to get to the point where we're trying to stop it from even getting to a point where we got to clean it up. And
But-
I think it's a 2-step or 3-step process
but
to
you've
get that
got
way.
to have the people
but-
in our elected offices that make those decisions to make that happen.
I
Yeah,
agree.
that's where it all starts. I mean, they're going to make, they're going to make the push, or they're going to do this, but it also is good in numbers. I'm telling people about these meetings coming up because you get a bunch of people barking in there. They eventually are going to have to listen. I mean, it's going to open some eyes. They're going to say, well, maybe there's something to this here. I think the other problem is you get the so-called experts, everybody, and then there's the blame game. Let's face it, guys, the damage is done. We need to look at forward and what's the fix on a lot of the stuff. So
And that's my point to some of that is, you know what I mean?
it's
There
not
has
gonna
to be
happen overnight.
with the amount of new neighborhood, and the reason why I think when I look at it, I got skin in the game, and I'm looking at the growth that's happening in Apollo Beach right now. I'm gonna talk specifically to our local community.
Our
The
community-
growth that is happening in Apollo Beach right now is gonna affect our estuary at some point if we don't look forward and go, hey, all these lawns, all these runoffs, all these ponds, all this stuff that will leach back into our bay, we're putting it right in Apollo Beach right now. And so to go further than that and look at what's causing that blue-green algae, it's natural on some level, but we're promoting it. We're fueling the fire with all of these fertilizers and all this runoff that's getting into that lake.
Apollo Beach,
and it's coming from Orlando. It's coming from Kissimmee. It's a trickle down process.
I had a customer that's building the big subdivision, 200 homes off Shell Point. Apollo Beach is pretty much built out. Ruskin, Waimama is the
Well, that's what I'm talking about. But even that, I mean,
that's the
you
area
look
that's
at
gonna
where the Little
see-
Manatee River goes, bub. Goes right up in
Oh,
there.
yeah,
You got
yeah.
feeder creeks. You
And that
got
goes up
Bell
through
Creek. All those
Waimama
little
and all.
creeks
Yeah.
and veins, and then not to mention the aquifer and what's underground. People don't think that.
And it's not just that. It's septic tanks.
That's what I was going. Leaching.
yeah,
You get a
leaching
whole
from a
different
septic tank.
process behind how stuff can actually get in the water.
In like Hillsborough County and in all counties, they got to make it more affordable for somebody to hook up
Yeah.
To city water and
to-
city
to-
sewer.
Yeah, to
Yep.
city water and city sewer.
Oh, it was.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've been in Ruskin 30 years. I have a septic tank and a well.
I got septic and well as
It
well.
will be a cold day in hell before the county.
They wanted
ever-
$30,000 for me
Yeah,
to hook up
it'll be a
to city
cold
water.
day in hell
they do.
before
I'll
they
tell you what
ever-
they do now because I just built a
They
house.
prorate it.
No, you can't. They won't do a septic anymore. So what they have, the problem with Ruskin,
new.
yeah, it's new, but they bring in it's basically a septic tank with a pump system that pumps it because you're not
It's called a
high
lift
enough-
station.
Lift station. So they do give you a credit if you're building a house, and they won't let you do.
But they'll split that between, say, 5-6 homes. That's a lift station. I spent 10 years in water wastewater.
they'll
that's
split
what they'll do.
The tank.
Yeah, well, no, it's cheaper for them to run a main pipeline to come down to put you onto a different lift station.
The tank on my house is only to my house. I know that for a fact.
Well, then you got a special deal because
No, every
normally
house in my neighborhood, they just did one
They're
across
all
the
that way
street.
now.
that's how they're doing it. They're putting a lift station at
Each
your house.
Yeah.
Each house gets its own lift
Telling you.
station.
Wow.
I can show you because
That
I
was-
watched them put
that's-
it. My neighbor
that's-
just had it done, but that is the answer. The problem is,
But where do you lift it to?
But
see,
see,
you don't
it goes to
have
a master
your
lift
house
station.
is different because
to
I don't
master.
think
it goes out
It's
by
because you're not in a
interstate, but
neighborhood, I
you're-
guess, because you guys
you
don't
have-
have an HOA or any
but
kind of neighborhood.
not all neighborhoods have it. And like Danny, you're
Danny,
not
you
going to
could
get
get
it
it.
out there where you're at.
you have
because
to
it would
have, you
take
have to have a sewer pipe out.
$200
close to
million
your-
to get the
Yeah.
lines
Oh,
out
yeah.
there where you're
Well,
at.
if you look
Yeah.
at Mira Bay, take Mira Bay as an example. When they built Mira Bay, like I actually built the lift stations for that. But there's a lift station right outside when you go down Old Lazy Road. There's a lift station right there, and that master lift station serves
No, this
half
is
the
a-
community, and it pumps into that.
This
and
is-
that master pumps into.
They
you
put
know,
them in each house, and it's basically like a septic tank.
You get a little light, little
with a-
box with a red light on top
Yep,
when
yep,
it fills
yep,
up.
Yep, and it just basically, but from what I understand, you're in too low a ground area, so they have to pump it out because it won't flow out. But anyhow, that is the updated system. But like your neighborhood, I don't think there's any sewer lines within. I don't know how far because you're kind of out on a limb.
There's
Yeah.
none
Mhm.
south of
There
the
are.
river.
There's none
Okay,
south of
see,
the
I
river.
don't know the cutoff. It's not even an option. But again, it comes all down to money. Like
Yeah.
the right answer is go put lift stations and run sewer. But
Yeah.
it's
Even with that, you got to be careful with that too. I mean,
Raphael said, "Where's Rick?"
you've got reservoirs
him, but I don't
and
see him.
reclaimed water that was an issue. They got that up.
Anyhow, guys,
There's Rick. He's there.
long story short,
Rick was good enough to let me have his seat tonight.
long story short, the meeting is a start for some of the issues and state your message. So
Yeah.
I see a lot of
Rick and I are
guys
going to go
that
out and drink Patron tonight.
get on social media and talk, and I'm like, you know what?
Rick's
Step it
having
up.
a
If
nice
you're that
Right.
social or be that loud about it, go talk to the people that matter, because it just doesn't matter on Facebook besides getting a bunch of comments.
That's true. Yeah, if you ain't gonna do nothing about it, and I say that all the time about politics, because I'm not a politics guy. Like I like to know about it.
I don't follow it,
but I'm not going to follow it to a point where I get passionate about it, because I'm really not going to. I hate to say it, but I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm not going to go lobby. I'm not going to go.
But you'll vote.
But I'll vote and I'll voice my opinion. But it gets to a point where I don't feel comfortable. Making a big push and a big
But if you do what Danny said,
because
you
I'm
don't
not
have to
really
be a
going to go any
serious politics
further
person.
with it.
Just
You know what I mean?
do a little research, see which one.
Get educated.
Find the guy that
I'm
you
with you on
think.
that. I'm
Find
not
the
either.
Find the person that you want in office that you think is going to do something for the environment, and then vote for him. That's what you can do. We're not going to win this battle on Facebook. Or
No.
Definitely
any
not.
social
You
social
might
media.
you
We
might
can talk
pound your
about it.
chest and say I got 85 comments on my deal, but besides that, that's about all it's good for, really.
Well, and I think not
Make you feel better.
not
for the day.
to contradict anybody, but to kind of look at the pro behind what's taking place. And we sort of had a conversation about all this earlier in a little meeting about the national exposure that these events have
I
caused.
got my
okay?
charter today that
I
booked
mean,
me.
Ohio, I'm getting called. Same, you got a call from New York, your client.
Well, this was my repeat
Um,
client today, and he goes, all they have on the news is red
Right.
tide in New York. Like, I mean, he said they are beating it to death.
Mhm.
Well, they did the same thing with the oil
Oil spill.
spill.
And it's a catch-22.
And they did the same thing with the freeze. Yeah, the media's there. They're going to do it. I
They-
mean,
bad news is
It
good
helps
news
the
for them.
attention. It helps the attention. It's just on I always say it's the delivery. It's how you deliver the message. And unfortunately, once you get out of our area, okay, they're no more educated than half the people across the country.
Right.
And so they're just reading what the teleprompter says that the guy in the news station told them to, And that's why we were talking about last week, if you happen to be watching our show, if you're someone outside the state, if you're someone outside our area, and you have plans to come into Florida, whether it's this month, next month, etc., do yourself a favor.
Call me. I'll take you
And
fishing.
yeah, call the area that you're going
That
to.
was
Call the captain you got stuff
bad
set up
promotion,
with.
but-
Call the hotel that you have reservations with before you just totally pull the plug. Because a lot of these events are isolated, and you may cancel a trip that could have been a really good trip, and you didn't have to do anything. And I think that's part of the message that I know a lot of the guys in Tampa Bay have been pushing on social media,
Well, 'cause
especially those in our profession in the fishing world that make a living on the water. Tomorrow may be a different story, and I paint that picture too. Is you can only say what you see today. And up until this point, everything's good. But at any time, it can change.
I have an idea that I think with, if the government wants to help, they're claiming state of emergency. Maybe go to the areas like Tampa Bay that are not hit. Run an advertising budget that they pay, saying, guys, come here, we're clean. Like run a deal and run it. I mean, they can do the demographics on that. You want to help the people that can actually still do their job and take customers. Run a marketing budget, whether it's online or what I'm saying. They could do that. I mean,
and I think
people want to work right now. There's people that are out of business because they can't do their job because of the water conditions. There's other people that are hurting because of basically the news just pounding. They're pounding the bad news, which it is bad news, but it's not bad. I ain't seen the first dead fish in Tampa Bay. I haven't. That's just the facts. But every customer that calls me thinks we're jumping.
Come look under my cleaning table, boss.
Hey, we got. I like Chris's comment. Chris says, just tuning in, he's confused that Rick moved to the left seat and let his hair go gray.
Danny,
Huh? I'm sorry.
man, they're beating you up.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
Again.
Rich, CCA is a good way. FGA Florida Guides, another good way. What are the organizations I'm missing here? Captains for
Captains
Clean Water.
for Clean Water. The
I
guys
really
down
like
there
that.
are doing an incredible job, and that's why, like, some of this stuff, man, like, you know, I keep expressing, and I've talked to a lot of people. We all have about, even in through town, running around, people asking about red tide and water quality, and I want to point out that a lot of the opinions that we have, we're sort of biased because we're in a clean area. We're in an area that hasn't been affected, and so I want to make that point that we're not trying to downplay what's happening in South Florida.
We're just trying
It's just we're not in an affected area, and
yeah.
it is up. It's sort of our way I look at it is it's our responsibility to report what we see, and as bad as it may hurt,
We're giving real news.
we're seeing good stuff. I mean, we're seeing redfish schools
You
show
know
up.
what?
We're,
Let me
you
ask
know,
you a
snook
question.
fishing's been good, and we haven't taught a lot of fishing here, but you know,
Has anybody
fishing's
here?
been good.
Yeah, it has. Let me ask you a question. Has anybody here or watching this show that's a charter captain, has anybody had Channel 8, Channel 13, 44, 20, I don't care which, any of the news stations call, hey, say, hey guys, is your fishing good? Yeah. Can we do a clip on the local news on the show people that Tampa Bay is good? You
I
had
have.
that?
Yeah, I've actually it'll be coming up, but we're
Well,
doing
I'm wrong.
News Channel 8. We're actually working with News Channel 8, and we're going to be doing a little report
Yeah,
I'm glad. Hey, I'm glad.
on water quality here in
News
Tampa
Channel 8,
Bay,
you
and
just got some good media.
me and my boy Jeff Patterson through Brooksy Hall and Captain Lori Deaton, which I appreciate. We're going to do a little segment on that stuff. So there is one coming.
Good.
Which
When are they going to do
they're
it?
very
Because
excited to
We need to do it soon.
to get the word out there on that. But
Well, I mean,
that's
I'm
why I
glad
like to say
hear
that because I've got a lot of friends down south. I got a lot of friends in Charlotte Harbor, and you know those guys got hurt, man. And so I don't want them to feel like we're downplaying their situation.
No, we're
And that's
not,
why
but-
I look at the pros and the cons of the exposure. That exposure, as negative as it may appeal to us, is helping them. It's helping them, you know, send their message and get it out to the rest of the country that Florida needs help. And yes, it may not be specifically in our area, but we sort of have a responsibility for our state to not downplay that, to not, you know, correct that whole situation by saying, well, you know, everything's cool. It's just the way the delivery happens, and it's to say that our area is good.
Our
Still
brothers
got
in
it.
the south are hurting.
Yeah, those guys, you know, have an
if you
issue,
want to
man.
report real news, record the entire when you play, and they did this with the oil spill, Danny. When you play the bad part of the canal that's got green algae with 50 tons of fish, don't replay that video 100 times. Show the other side of the canal that might not be that bad, or 5 canals over. Because remember the oil spill? How many times did they replay that one video? I mean, they had to do it a gazillion times.
But that's what news is. We ain't gonna change that.
right. But that's what they
You
That's-
said
say.
it earlier.
that's-
Bad news is good for
But
them.
but it is
Yeah,
a
but
two-edged sword.
still.
If you portray the good side and don't portray the bad side, then nobody knows there's a problem,
Right.
and
Well,
we don't
you-
ever get the support to get the problem fixed. So
I agree
people-
with you to
people have to-
report real stuff.
Yeah,
That's
Give
why I
the whole
say
story.
get educated.
Yeah.
Get the whole story.
If you're concerned, and it's a concern to you, whether you're traveling, whether you're looking to move to Florida, whether you're vacationing, you know, whatever the case may be, get educated, get informed, you know, find out which area. It's not a statewide issue. They're not the same.
Crystal River's
Our
good.
issues are
I
not.
don't think there's anything
It's not
there.
the same issue in every area across our.
Danny, you just got back
coast.
from
So-
Stanahatchee. Ain't no red tide there.
No,
They got a lot of fresh water,
a lot
but
of brown water there though.
that, I mean, there's no. That's my point. Is like you said, the customer's just gonna have to ask. But I mean, you can't imagine how many people just said, "I ain't going there." They got dead fish everywhere. Like, and during the oil spill, we were hundreds of miles from oil.
I've had
And I
customers calling me
customers
for
think that-
I'd say about a month and a half now since it really made headline. I cannot tell you. I don't think I've had a trip that it didn't come up, whether it was on the phone prior to, during when I talked to them and booked them, or whether it was a conversation that was had on the boat.
Yeah.
It was the hot topic.
Well,
was,
like you said, it's never
and
gonna
so-
get right.
It's a double-edged sword.
Ray, you're
People know
absolutely
about it,
right.
which is good, which means maybe somewhere down the line, if more people know about it, more people are concerned, which it seems like they are. They wouldn't be calling us asking if they don't want to know. Then
Well, it just bothered me
it-
today because my customers said
it
they
just has to
keep
be
replaying
pointed in the direction
same
to get
deal.
resolved. So
it is what it is. But one other thing too, I seen Ty. Ty, what's up, buddy? Sorry, we got on a tangent there. What they got the Mullet Run Shack? What's going on Friday? They got this big event at Hula Bay for the fishermen.
LunkerCon, man.
LunkerCon.
Come
there
on,
we
dog.
Go. Mullet Run, whatever the heck they call it. I don't know what they call it. I mean, I guess.
Oh,
I don't know, Danny.
You know you follow.
Danny,
you know
this
you
is the
follow
who's
that. Don't
who.
play stupid.
I didn't remember the name. I seen it. I just promoted it. What are you talking about? Danny, they said
He's a secret
all
admirer.
the
He's a
who's
secret admirer.
who of
He wants his
fishing's
name on
gonna
the
be
page.
there. So I don't know.
Well, I'm not there.
I want to
What I
go,
was
man. It
saying.
looks like it's going to be a good
I
time,
think
man.
we
They're
invited
gonna,
ourselves.
the boys
Travis.
are going to get down there and party. And
We kind of
and,
invited ourselves.
You know
didn't we?
me, man. I mean, when it's drinking, I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to get
Game over.
not go there.
You got
man.
a trip
I mean,
booked within the next month with
Bubba,
Travis. He might
tell
be
you what,
sick.
man. I mean, if it involves drinking, boys, I mean, I'm there.
I mean,
But
anyway,
I got a full
LunkerCon.
day on Friday and I got an early AM Saturday. So, with all them beers I drink, I may not be able to get up Saturday morning. But
Anyways, what's it?
Travis, what, you drink
LunkerCon.
like
That's
3
what it's
beers a
called.
year?
They're gonna have.
huh?
You drink like 3 beers a year?
I probably get about a 6. I might get a
Full six-pack a
sixer
year?
in. Yeah,
You
maybe
guys
12.
aren't letting me finish.
No, I get 12. I get a year.
Yeah.
I'm average.
So
one
it's
a
this
month.
Friday, right?
I don't believe it.
Will you stop talking about your O'Douls you drink? You
I
don't
don't
even
drink
beer.
O'Douls, man. I drink straight out. I drink like,
Where'd you
150
find
proof
this guy?
liquor.
Where'd you find this guy? Anyways,
Brown liquor.
LunkerCon.
LunkerCon this Friday. The Flats Mafia guys are I think in cahoots, and they've got a lot of guys coming in across the state. It's going to be a good time. It's all the famous Instagram, social media guys.
Not
They're going
me.
to be there,
Rick,
and
you
that's
I'm
why
out
we
of
didn't get
town,
the
baby.
invite, dude. Just throw that out there. Anyway, going to be a good time. A lot of good fishermen heading up there. They're going to give some giveaways, and obviously partying, hanging out, talking some fishing.
beers. James
So
just
it's going to be a
tuned
good
in
time.
downstairs. James,
So if
James
you ain't doing
is one
nothing on
of the
Friday, you should roll up there and check
famous
it out.
guides on-
I'm going to try to go, man. I'm going to see if the wife
I might
wants to
ride
go.
the-
And
I might throw the old
and,
Pathfinder
hang
off
out
the
for a little
lift
bit.
and
You guys
let her
are
eat.
going.
so, but anyway, yeah, we do want to promote that. Those guys
Come
are cool.
on, James.
We appreciate them coming into town, bringing some, bringing some people into town, getting Tampa some
I might
notoriety,
be cool.
baby.
I'll have to ride
Who's the
with you.
guy that heads that up? What's his name? The long-haired dude. He's kind of funny. Yeah, so he started the whole thing, right?
Yeah, he's awesome.
I mean, heck,
watched
Mike
his videos for a long
Goodwine's
time.
going to be there. Ty. Who else was on the list? I'm trying to think. There's all
I
kinds
don't
of
know.
people.
They've been updating it.
Matt Snooker.
Dave
Dude,
Pablo.
He's a trip.
I fished with him, man. He's a hoot.
He's a trip. He's
But,
a trip. It's going to be fun. Y'all should go by.
Check it
It's a
out.
great trip.
Well, guys, we're about to run out of time. They're going to kick us out of here. We had a little delay. We got power loss out here in Tampa. But, yeah, so we got a winner for, who was it, Rich? Rich, come in and get your Viva Cup and hat. Pick out your color. And that's about it,
Danny,
guys.
thank you for coming in.
Oh,
appreciate
I
you.
go back. We just went back in time, man.
Why?
Give us an all right.
All right.
There we go. God, he didn't bring the show in. I mean, you cannot have that. Is classic. That is classic AM radio talk right there. It's good stuff. Guys, it's been a great show. Thanks for tuning in. Until next week, tight lines. Catch them up. See you at the LunkerCon.
See you guys. Y'all have a